Welcome, September Cataloging Special Interest Group. Does anyone have anything they want to bring to the group?
Well, small announcement. We received a grant of $15,000 this week. The bad
That's
news
great.
is
Congratulations.
bad news is it came from the will of one of our biggest contributors. But he left me enough material for about an 800-page book, so now I can afford to publish it. So, mixed blessing. As for topics, I've been battling 942 and 952 configurations.
952 being the item record.
Yeah. Because I've got more books than shelf, I'm putting some things into storage, and I'm trying to find a field to list the box number so I can go find things. You'd think that'd be simple. The shelving location field, no. A couple of other fields, yeah, I put them in, it took them, and the next day they were gone. I finally modified 952K and got it to work.
Let's see, remind us what the 952K is. I don't think I use that field very often.
I don't know anymore because I changed the name to storage box number.
Well, I am getting into Koha.
Let me see if I can find it. Should have pulled this up first.
Yeah, I don't think that the K is a field that we commonly use at all.
Which is why I found it helpful.
That's great.
Mark Bibliographic Framework. Look at the untouched default. So glad I got early advice not to touch that.
I guess I can mention that
952K doesn't even show up.
Yeah, so we use the 952K in the Z3950 responder, and I think that might be the default field for that, which lets you transmit the item statuses externally via the 952K, which is something you probably won't ever have to do, Bruce, but just as a point of information, Bauer has a blog post about that.
Is there a better subfield to use?
I think it's kind of a free subfield, so you can use it for whatever. That's just what we use it for.
I'd like to be normal, as I'm sure all of us wish, but
what's the point?
Could not figure out a subfield that that sounded reasonable that actually would work.
Did you say you tried, excuse me, the collection code?
I did not, because we're using that for collection code.
Well, I was thinking you could collection code box 1, box 2, and location also didn't work.
Let me go down the list here.
When we had items in storage, we had storage as the shelving location instead of stacks or reference, that sort of thing. And then we didn't want the box numbers publicly visible, so we put those in a non-public note, but that had pluses and minuses.
Yeah, I don't have any reason to hide the box number. Makes it easier for me if somebody wants something. But I just a little disappointed I couldn't find anything in the literature that says put it here.
Well, that's because you have to write that part.
Yeah.
That
I'm
might be
coming.
a nice conference presentation at some point, or maybe a topic for the koha-US every other Thursday video with as a guest.
Yeah. If I had more confidence that I'd found a satisfactory solution, I might do that. Let's see now. Let me pull up Pirates of the New England Coast. It's a good sample. Okay. I've got collection code used for something else. I tried shelving number, which I think is M.
Let's see.
M or N. And that erased itself.
Oh, shelving control number is J.
Right. And as I said, I put it in there and it vanished, which took me off because I didn't notice it had vanished till I'd gotten 20 boxes in.
Let's see. Is it something you need to create an authorized value for?
Yeah, and that sounds like more trouble than it's worth for box numbers.
Oh, let me take a look. And administration. Authorized values. How many books per box, approximately?
They range from 10 to 40.
Okay.
Maybe more for the paperbacks.
If I were doing this, I'd probably just go to add authorized values for LOC location, which maps to what?
Yeah.
Um,
Again, using that for something else.
LOC, okay. Sorry.
Well, it's heartening to hear that there's no obvious answer that I've missed.
Stack?
Where is that?
Authorized values.
Oh.
Administration authorized values.
Right.
But I'm not sure what it maps to.
Yeah, and I can't change the mapping on 952 subfields.
Okay.
It's fixed. Just like my cat, it's a one-way trip.
Yep. You're not making this easy.
I solve the easy problems myself. I mean, I do have a solution, and it is working. But if it's suboptimal, I'd rather hear about it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like any of us have any ready reason about why it would be suboptimal. It's starting to look pretty optimal.
As Jason points out, K is not a subfield that anything has been assigned to. So I could have picked any unused letter and gone to town with it. But K puts it in the nice place on the display page. So that's good.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of other options in the alphabet there.
952 is pretty well full up.
Yes. Yeah, I've tried to add a few things for my collection, which I have yet to actually do. But I have things mapped out.
I'm guessing it won't take punctuation as a subfield designator.
Hmm.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, but it might not. Might work in
I-
some parts of the program and not others because nobody bothered to test it.
It does have some numbers as subfields,
Yeah.
like a subfield 7 already.
Digits and letters,
Mhm.
and but I think that I don't want to go too far afield because that may be something that gets lost in a future revision.
And to get back to authorized values, I think you can assign any authorized value to any subfield. If you want to like make a brand new list,
It won't let me.
It won't let you at all.
No, I went in there and tried to change a few of them and or just delete them, and it's a grayed out field. It won't let me touch it.
Hmm. I'm trying to pull one up here.
That does keep me from getting too non-standard, but
sorry, I got lost. What is grayed out?
The option to change the authorized value list. Let me see if I can find that for you real quick.
You could try adding a new category of authorized values, like a box.
But go to edit subfields. Okay, we're not a circulating library, so I tried subfield L, and when it goes down to koha link, it says items, issues, and even though it's got a pull down arrow, nothing pulls down.
Okay, what I'm talking about is further down under other options. There's a drop down for authorized value. See that?
Right. But won't that populate items.issues anyway?
For L, yeah, but for your K subfield, what I'm saying is you could choose an authorized value category there.
Yeah, there's no link for K, and considering it's box numbers, I don't really feel like a authorized value is necessary.
Oh.
Okay,
I mean, I suppose I could tell the system what numbers are, but it seems overkill.
Yeah, and one thing that some people do is set up like an authorized value list of numbers, and then you can use it multiple places.
How about this? Create a patron called Box One. Check them out. Box One.
Ooh, there's a clever thought. So when I go through the OPAC and find a book I want, I find out it's checked out to box 37. And I go get it.
And you check it. I don't know if you need to check it into yourself or what. But
I'd probably check it in just to have a record of it. But
yeah, and if you check it in, that also preserves like where it had been or where it properly goes when it's not in storage.
Right, and because I do have some shelving, a couple of 1,000 or so linear feet, anything gets used is going to get upgraded to being on the open shelves, and I'll put something else in the storage box. So that's a distinct possibility. It also gives an indirect way of finding out the circulation, which is probably not terribly interesting.
Depends on what interests you.
Well, the value of circulation counts is to see what's uninteresting to your patrons so you can weed intelligently.
Yeah, but you're not going to weed.
Yeah, well, we do. We found a lot of books that are so badly out of date that they really need to be purged or at least have a flag put on them. But yeah, it's a history library. Weeding isn't really a thing.
Oh,
Whereas in my medical,
sorry, another idea would be using the course reserves module, because you could create instead of courses, boxes, and then temporarily put all of the items in each box. And that has some, that wouldn't mess with your circ stats if you wanted to do it that way. Sorry, Fred, go ahead.
3 strings to my bow.
Can't remember what I was going to say.
Funny looking arrows, I know.
Oh, yes, I was going to say in my medical library, yeah, we really do want to get rid of things.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, if you keep something long enough, it may come back in fashion, like leeches.
There are medical uses.
Yeah, we have a protocol for leeches.
Yep.
Also for maggots. Use them all the time.
Yeah.
Well, this reminds me of the discussion on the list, Fred, about weeding, about do people delete records or do they suppress them?
Yeah, I'm just going to delete them because we're not getting those books back.
No.
We don't want them back.
I might just mark them withdrawn if I thought it was a book I would get again because, you know, if it's taken out because of damage or something. That'd be a good placeholder for, okay, here's one we want if our budget ever shows up.
Yeah, if it's something we actually need, we'll probably get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just something wrong about deleting records, but
yeah,
but no one could come up with a really good reason to keep them in our case.
Yeah.
They're not really gone. They're just there in the background. You don't have to feel so bad about it.
Oh, yeah. In the deleted items table, right? Yeah, or deleted records. Let's see.
There's one for each. Yeah.
Well, I think we can close up this topic. I've been reassured that I'm not crazy in my approach, and I've got 2 others if I find some good reason to change. So thank you.
And you're going to let us know too, right?
If I change, yes, absolutely. I set up my Z3950 server and it wants to use subfield K. I'll curse Jason's name for not being more convincing today and let you all know.
I think you can do bulk item. I'm not sure if you can change all the subfield Ks to subfield.
Yeah, that's probably possible with an SQL process, but
I was thinking mark edit.
Avoid learning that.
Yeah, learn mark edit instead.
Yeah, and if I could install mark edit, that would be a big help too.
No, they won't let you.
No, well, there's no they. I'm the entire organization.
Okay.
But it doesn't like the variety of Linux I'm running, apparently.
Right.
I would like to think that Linux Mint was close enough to the mainstream that it would function. Not everybody thinks so, apparently.
Could you run it under Wine?
That's a possibility. That's a distinct possibility. I've definitely got to learn more about wine.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I've got a 2nd level diploma from the Wine and Spirits Education Trust, but it doesn't really help me with my computers much.
No, I prefer beer. Anyway, I have a conundrum. I am setting up my demo library, which is now called the Cheerful Valley Public Library. And well, clearly I haven't. Thought I'd set up everything right. But when I go to add an item, and our library has actually 4 items, which is why users can't borrow all that much. The 952 default call number is not populated. Though it's in the 942 in the bib record, but it just doesn't show up. And I have it set up to as LC is the default. Any idea what I'm doing wrong?
Well,
Where is
LC
it? It's
call
not showing up.
numbers are in the 942. I think they're usually in a 050 or an
050,
090.
but in the 942, you give the classification scheme
Yes.
and default item type. I don't remember if that comes up automatically. At what point do you tell tell koha to use the the 050 in the 952? Is it O?
Oh. So are we suggesting here that the item record has a different call number than the bib record?
It's blank.
Which
you're wanting to copy the call number from the 050 in the record to the 952 or 05 whatever. Yeah.
050.
Okay, so I think that's a system preference. I think it's the item call number system preference.
Right.
And you should be able to put your 050A in that system preference, and then it should copy it from the mark record to the item record. But that's not working.
No.
Okay.
May I take control and share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, let's make sure maybe I'll close that tab.
I popped the manual for 20.05 system pref item call number in the chat.
Okay, I think that's okay. Can you see my?
Yes.
Okay, so system preferences. And where would it be? The system
item call number.
Yeah, you can type that in that search box right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I assume it's one word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a preference, that second one there. You need to populate that.
Aha! Okay. Like that.
Yes.
Thank you. I knew there was a way. And now let's see.
Is it possible? I have a follow-up question on that. We have libraries that we have one that uses LC and the rest use Dewey. Is there a way to have the library that uses LC to have their LC populated, but not the Dewey? And vice versa, or would both of them have to show up and the cataloger has to delete the one they're not using?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
As far as I know, that's a system-wide preference. So you can't set it behavior by library branch. For us, we're a consortium, so our libraries end up just putting in their call numbers anyways. And we do a lot of copy cataloging, so the call numbers aren't always in the record. And so it's all a local control thing. They're always putting in a call number when they add an item, no matter what.
Would it be possible to use that function that we just saw to list both the Dewey and the LC number together?
I think you can. I was just looking in the manual and it has an example like that.
One of them from the bib record that isn't wanted. Or do the libraries in that group share bib records?
Yeah, it's not totally clear what will happen, but it looks like you can map multiple, so you can map the Dewey and the Library of Congress. I'm not sure if it's going to pull both in or if it's going to like prioritize the first one, and then if that's not there, the second one.
Let's see if I can find out. What do you suggest I put between the iPhone 050 AB and the, let me go back.
Oh, Leanne put in the chat that they use both in their library and can select from a drop down.
What do you think I should put before the 082 or between? Comma?
Comma, no space.
Oh, okay. And it's AB, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what happens when I try to add an item?
And Leanne in the chat says, exactly, we use both in our library and can select from a drop down for the item. Subfield 2, source of classification or shelving scheme.
Okay, yeah, I haven't set up Dewey for this one, but yeah, looks like you can. Okay.
Yeah, let us know how that goes, Lauren.
Okay, it may take me a while to. I'll have to. I finally got a QA site, so I'll have to try to see how that looks to figure out, is it worth, because only one library uses LC, the other 23 use Dewey. So it's like, okay, for one library, is it worth it? When we get 3 libraries that do LC, it might be worth majority rules sometimes.
This could be an easy way to get there. It just shows that my many years of hacking systems to make them do things they weren't designed to do is paying off here.
I think this would be a great topic for an every other Thursday video if we can encourage Leanne to be a guest and show how it's configured.
Or maybe I can add it to the short list of things I'm doing for the conference.
That would be great.
Dual. So I don't think I'm going to live up to the title name. I'm just going to. I am taking koha where it should go instead of where it shouldn't. There's things you haven't thought about.
Where it shouldn't go was my efforts to use it to catalog our museum collection.
Somebody or other said you can catalog anything.
Yes.
Some
make it a good
wise
idea.
Cataloging sage.
Fortunately, before I put too much energy into it, the board decided to throw out the museum collection.
Oh, when you say throw out,
catalog mine. I've got a lot of artifacts and objects that need to be cataloged, and we have some in all of our libraries. And since very little of them are trained librarians, I figure I have to do it first and figure out, how do you catalog this stuff?
The first thing I'd suggest is partner with your local regional history library. Because museums have their own system, and it works really well for museums. How hard it's going to be to shoehorn that into koha, I don't know.
It's very, very easy.
Yeah, I would think it shouldn't be that hard. And starting from the museum archivist's perspective will bring you to a better place than starting from a librarian's perspective. No offense. I've done both jobs, and each has their own special vocabulary and tools.
I was about to say I didn't know there was, as far as I knew, there wasn't one because I tried looking into it. Do you know what it's called?
Yeah, the nomenclature. I can look that up, and there are crosswalks between the two, between that and Mark. I'd say it depends on the thoroughness of a record you can find for your object or a similar object. Do you want to try to convert the metadata, or do you want to do it from scratch? I'll put a record in the chat. We have a test record in our catalog that I did for a painting. So our curators that our museum holds, so our curators could see what a record for one of the paintings in the museum would look like. In Mark E's and library cataloging E's, they're usually called Realia records, but it's very typical to find records in public library systems for things like laptops, headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're fortunate, Lauren, you're starting from scratch. You don't have to worry about converting. That's actually this case. But the important thing about museum collections is that they've got an accession number that follows a very strict protocol. And fortunately, it's all numbers and decimal points and letter at the end. But it allows you to track where it came from very efficiently. A typical number is the year dot the donation group, which you, and those two you can link back to a donor, and then an item number, and then if it comes in piece, if it falls into pieces, you can have subletters for that. So it's a fairly simple thing that would fit into Koha without any trouble. And then the other things you want are things like the date created, the date acquired, all the other things that you would expect from, just from a rare book trade. So that was one of the reasons we went for Koha, because, oh good, I can do my museum too. I only have to climb one learning curve.
I understand the learning curve. It's steep.
It can be.
But once you learn it, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And Leanne also asked in the chat if I have a practice record for rare items like manuscripts. I'm going to put a list into the chat of some RDA records that I use as to remind me of new, nice, pretty records for various formats. And in that list, you'll find things like video recordings, objects, ephemeral files, photographs, and some archival collections that we've got in our and this painting record, things like that we've got in our collection.
I hope to be dead before we get to cataloging the ephemera. We've got boxes and boxes of it.
And I don't know the name of it, but there is apparently a library in Dublin that is nothing but incunabula.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
Now, we do not use, I think it's a DCRB, descriptive cataloging for rare books and manuscripts, but we do catalog our rare books and manuscripts to a more thorough level.
Ooh, maps.
Yes, I do cartographic materials. I think there might be a cartographic record in that list. Let me double check.
Liz agrees with me.
Yes, there's the Eastern Archipelago, anchorages in Sumba, Timor, and adjacent islands. And yeah, there are cartographic materials in that list as well. And there's a really...
the maps figured out. I'm going to need that too.
I think I might have some other resources here.
Well, Lauren, there is a learning curve with Koha, but you don't have to learn all of it. You just have to be good at what you need to do, which is another thing that makes Koha makes it fun and easy. And dare I say, intuitive?
No.
Oh,
It is, but trying to learn Koha for a consortium adds a whole lot more stuff
Yes.
yeah.
you have to do and that you have to know. Because instead of just one library, you have 20 some libraries.
Just exponential growth. It's fine. Your brain might explode, but you'll get there.
I feel like I have the foundation of Koha pretty good. It's oh, wait a minute. That's a problem. How do I fix that problem?
That's what we're here for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pat you on the shoulder and tell you we don't know either.
Oh, I think every month I have a list of questions that I'm bringing to you guys. Mark Edit, I think I know more Koha than I know Mark Edit.
Yeah.
But I need to know Mark Edit because
Again, I know enough Mark Edit. I really ought to learn regular expressions, but there's a lot of other stuff I need to learn first.
I outsource the reg things, expressions.
Did you guys know that the batch modification, item modification tool has regex built in now? A little bit.
I heard about that.
It's very exciting because we can change call numbers now. Before we couldn't like batch modify call numbers very easily. There's a blog post about it. I can link that.
I was excited to see that because one of our libraries who I don't know what they were doing, put in the call number notes as to where they were in the library. And if it was like anything to do with that item, they put it in the call number. And I'm like, that's not where it goes. You can't, I'm like, yeah, it sort of works there. But so I have to clean all that up. And I'm like, we'll do an inventory of the rooms to make sure, but I'm like, then I got to clean all those call numbers. How do I do that? And then I'm like, ooh, that's how I do that. I can erase. I've learned if I have a problem that's really big, just wait. Somebody else in Koha community will have the same problem.
Yes. Or just ask someone.
One might be interested and figure it out for you.
I am so glad this community exists.
Hear, hear.
Makes my job so much easier.
My motto at work is that everyone's getting tired of. Hearing is we're here to make your lives easier. I've got 3 hours to do a Medline search. Doctor, you don't.
Someday it's not so much the learning curve as the time it takes to go back and fix all the things I got the first time.
There's also the remembering curve.
Yeah,
if you do something maybe once every 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm trying to create an organized map of all of the how-tos in Koha, somewhat for my libraries, but also for me, so that when I don't remember, and I'm going to categorize it beginner, intermediate, trainer, expert. And so, because some things it's like, I know I can do this. Oh, it's an easy thing. let me look there. Or that I remember is a really complicated and advanced cataloging thing. Narrowed the field down.
Maybe we need to build an index to all these wonderful tutorials into the community wiki.
Mm.
There is a cataloging area on the wiki where I know I've put some sample records.
But I think a section for tutorials might be really popular.
Yes.
As you know, I remember those two crazy ladies talking about this, a couple of years ago, and where am I going to find it?
Well, and on the koha-US website.
Yeah, that's something the education committee was trying to do, is kind of curate that kind of stuff. And we did have discussions about kind of making tiers by difficulty. I don't know where that discussion went. but yeah, the using koha section, we do have a cataloging page there where we've kind of collected some of this stuff, but there's room for improvement for sure.
And perhaps under the quick reference guides, if it's a workflow-based tutorial.
Mm.
I agree with Julia, who said it's very nice to be able to admit lack of knowledge. Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, the first step is to admit it to ourselves. After that, it gets easier.
Right.
I am only an egg. I don't know if the two of you recognize the reference or what.
It sounds familiar, but no, I'm not placing it, Fred. Where's it from?
Stranger in a Strange Land, Heinlein.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a blast from the past. Also, the source of the term grok.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is very useful.
Yes.
Thank you for answering my memorabilia question, which I actually didn't have on the list. I have other things, but I also want to give other people a chance to ask their questions.
Be right back.
Yeah, I think go ahead, Lauren.
Okay. So one of them, and it happened with the upgrade, though it also could be, I don't work with Koha enough as a non-super librarian. I tried to train two of our librarians, and in the past, I could let them check the little box and delete the one item from their library. When I went to train them since the upgrade, that was no longer available. And I don't know what, I feel like it's a setting that I need to select. I don't want them to be able to delete all items at a time. I think I'm on 2005.
Yeah, I think the batch item modification permission or batch item deletion permission is required to use the checkbox, I think, even to delete a single item. But you can double check it.
Is it just this version? Like, does the 2011 or the 2105 go back to you can delete? Because I only want them to be able to delete items in their library, not in everybody's library. That's my fear, is they'll accidentally delete items.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's a
it's
problem
possibly
we
bad.
had, especially when they were deleting from the item edit screen, because before batch item deletion, they had to pick from the list of all of their things. now we have it split out so that they're only seeing their item if they own it on the OPAC detail or the bib detail screen, whatever. So they're just checking theirs. But yeah, we're still on 2005 as well. I'm thinking that it's tied to that permission. You could potentially just hide the tool, the batch item deletion tool from the tools menu. That's an easy fix, just hiding that link so they can't get in there and paste in a list of barcodes to delete. I think the way we are set up though is anybody can still delete anybody's items. I mean, they can still check the boxes on other people's items and knock them out if they have the permission. And that's been like a long-standing consortial issue.
That may be more a permissions issue than a configuration issue.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you set up the users so they can't delete anything that's not from their library? Sounds like, if not, that sounds like a great upgrade or enhancement.
Well, I feel like it used to be there, but somewhere in one of our upgrades, I don't know how many, because I don't train people every time we upgrade. Probably should, but I just noticed it. I'm like, I don't remember. I thought before I was able to do this.
Did you ever have independent branches turned on or off? Do you know? That's a system preference.
I think it's turned off.
Okay, because that can affect a lot of things. It's a big one. So if you toggle that, that might be why things changed. We have it off because it facilitates sharing. So that kind of opens things up a little wider.
Okay. And that might be because the earlier upgrades, we did not have it on. And then whenever groups entered Koha, we were very excited. We turned it on.
Yeah, so that may have changed some behaviors for you.
And that makes sense.
I'm looking through the patron permissions.
I did find a bug that might be of interest, that status is signed off. And I think it says it's a release 21.11 candidate called add ability to limit editing of items to home library or library group.
There you go.
Yep.
I was hoping it wasn't a bug and it was just some setting that I hadn't turned on.
Setting you haven't turned on because it doesn't exist yet. It's not a bug.
Oh, it'll be nice when it does. All right. This question is related to linking. So right now in the OPAC, if you create a record and you've only linked a barcode to that record, in the OPAC, it shows as no items available, even though it has an item there. Anybody know why? Or is that part of analytics and it only recognizes physical items, not linked items?
I guess I'm not clear on what you mean by linking an item barcode. Yeah, an analytic record has a relationship through the 7XX linking fields, a parent-child relationship.
It's the well, and it could be we're using the wrong fields because they've used the 773 to link an electronic copy to a print copy. I know that's several of them, and some of them have done articles, and I can't remember the example I found.
Yeah, in that case, bibliographic records are sharing a relationship. It has nothing actually to do with the item records.
Okay. But is there a way for Koha to show that the item is available in the search results menu?
We have that problem with this available thing. And so, yeah.
Okay.
We have an item type that we use of article and we create an item record. It doesn't have a barcode, but at least the item type says article to alert the user that it's an article. And we also have a relationship to online because our records for online resources also have this weird thing with the available and the unavailable, so that there's a location that says online.
Okay.
Yeah, in our catalog, we get a lot of online books. I think our catalog has thousands of them because we get the entire collection for Rittenhouse. And when I'm adding new ones, I put in an item record because Koha really wants item records because there's some things you can't do, like look for that particular collection code or location. So I use same terms for item type and collection code and location because I didn't know what I was doing when I set it up. And I just put in barcode with, a session date and last seen, and there's a third one, just put in the current date so I know when I added it, but leave the O and the P fields blank. And then I add them to the collection. If we have a print book, then it gets added to that record, which is probably something I shouldn't be doing. And Heather, someday could you explain the 700s?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 700s do a lot. They are added entries of various types. The 77X and the 78X are called linking entry fields because those are the ones that are used to track relationships between bibliographic records. And for those of you new to cataloging, we'll say X when we mean any number, like 773, 776. We mean all of those, so we say 77X. And like Lauren's talking about, and people in the chat are talking about, that some of them are parent-child relationships. Some of them are title relationships between serials, like 780 and 785 for continued and continued by.
A lot of those.
And how Koha displays and handles the linking is something that a lot of it's new. It's very new. And Bywater's helped us to figure it out. And it's working in our catalog under using OCLC numbers as the linking field. So if you look at records in our catalog, you'll see the OCLC number highlighted to click between, for example, the article and the parent magazine title.
That would be a great topic for the conference, is someone explaining how those 77X and 78X work. I'm learning but I'm still confused as to when you use this instead of that. When is the 776 better than the 773?
Oh, well, they do different things. Let me get up my
different things.
They do different things. Let me get up my mark format so that I tell you the correct thing.
Sorry, folks, I have to leave, but I'd like to leave with one suggestion or thought is koha is great because you can get a functioning system going without knowing a whole lot.
Yeah.
And does it, I don't know if it'd be, do you require, do you have to redo a whole lot, or can you just add or tweak when you learn you need more? Anyway, I've got a library staff meeting.
Okay.
See
you, Fred.
at some point.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
In short, Lauren, and do please continue to keep asking the questions. The 773 for the host item entry means that the thing that you are cataloging is a small part inside the bigger thing, like an article inside a magazine entry or a chapter inside a book or a song on an album. And so in a song on an album, the song is going to have a 773 for the album title, if that helps make sense. The 776 is additional physical form. And one of the most common examples of that is I have a hard copy book that we have digitized and put on the Internet Archive. So my hard copy book and my Internet Archive record have 776s for each other. And that's generally referred to as a horizontal relationship because one's not the parent or the child or the first and the second. They both exist. So the 776 for the book is going to have, say, like online, copy is over here in this bib record, and this over there in the Internet Archive one is going to have a 776 saying the print edition is that record. So you could click between them.
Okay. Do you have an example of a record?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yep. And I think in that list I shared of RDA records, you're going to find, articles with parent-child relationship and an online and print.
Okay.
Yeah.
I learn more from following examples than I do from reading manuals.
Right, because oftentimes you're looking at the mark format and it just has this field sitting there and you're like, okay. But yeah, when you look at a whole record example, you can see it. Okay, we have a question from Julia. How does that differ from putting a link in the 856 that is a link to another system? So the 856 then contains the link out to something. Like I have my bibliographic record in my catalog for that digitized book on the Internet Archive, and the 856 says Internet Archive, and then the subfield U is the actual link that's going to take me out to the Internet Archive. Or the Library of Congress records oftentimes say publisher's description is here, and that links out to it. Yeah, direct link to that archive.
So if you have multiple representations, you might use the physical book and the books on tape with the 700 link, but the 856 link for the online version?
You could. Now, some libraries don't like these separate record approach, one bib record for the print book, one bib record for the online book, and they'll put everything together with multiple 300 fields, like 300 field, 766 pages, another 300 field, one online resource of 766 pages, and they'll just put it all together. Yeah. And we have a question, 773 links to the host. Is there another tag that links to the subsidiary? Yes, there is.
Do you ever use the 856 and the 776, like cataloging an online resource as its own item and put it in the 776 and put in the direct internet link in the 856?
Yes, all of our records for digitized items that also exist in print have a 776 pointing to that print item and an 856 pointing to, for us, the Internet Archive where that digital book lives.
Do you point your print to the 776?
Yes.
And the 8, will you also put the 856 in the print?
No.
Okay.
Because that 856 is where that online edition lives. Okay. Only that online edition for us. Our print book is living on a shelf.
Okay. Okay.
And I think of it that way, is the 856 is the home of that outside online thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and Bruce is answering that question as the, let's see, constituent unit. Yeah, I haven't done a parent-child in a while.
I have a bunch of them to cope with. We have magazines that got merged and then split up again.
So yeah, let me double check our record. We do not track the children and the parent.
Okay. My concern is if you find the child record, say, oh, I want this. Mm-hmm. How do I know where it hides?
Because the child record has the 773 to go to the parent.
Right. It goes back to the host. Never mind.
Mm-hmm, to the host. Yeah.
I'm thinking too hard and it's not working.
It's so abstract. And so, yeah, if Julie says, so if we ever get our act together to create catalog records for the online editions, we'll use the 776. Yes. And do we put the catalog call number of the parent in the record for the child? We do not. We actually say in the call number field, we pick that it's in that subfield 2, it's other generic, and we say magazine article, or, article in that subfield O of the item record to, again, call people's attention to the fact that this is an article inside something else. If you want it, you have to click through to the parent.
Okay, so that going the other way is more like a table of contents, which there's another function for back in the 500s.
Mm-hmm.
I keep putting that project off because I know it's a big, huge spider web. But I think I put it off too long, and now it's starting to affect other things. I'm like, okay, now is the time. Bite the bullet, just do it.
So Julia's asking, is there a Koha-Wiki entry for map cataloging? I'm not sure if we put a model cataloging record on that. But I know that there is a model RDA record in that list on our Koha catalog that I shared.
Where is that? Scroll back and see if I can find it. Okay, all I'm finding is YouTube and XKCD.
There it is again. I put it at the bottom of the chat.
Ah.
Oh, great. Thank you.
And Heather, if somebody wanted to tap into your catalog via Z3950 to grab one of these records and have it in their own system, that's possible, right?
Absolutely. I can put our Z3950. Let's see.
That would be wonderful. Great question, Jason. Great question.
You know what I will do is, let's see, our Z3950 settings are on my work computer. And for this meeting to get the Zoom to work, I had to do my personal computer. So what I will do is, oh, right, maybe we added to that.
You're on there. Is it accurate? Yeah.
Let's see. Let me take a look. Yes,
I'm not sure ours
that
is accurate.
That is accurate.
Okay.
It should work. And if anybody has any trouble Z3950ing into our catalog, just shoot me an email. I'll put my email address in the chat.
Which library are you?
We are San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park Research Center. Big name.
And I don't see that on the
list she's keys, right?
It's the Keys. Our catalog is called the Keys catalog because it's named for an adorable little dog who Keys, who was the mascot of Union Iron Works, who got his name when someone dropped their keys in the shipyard, and the little dog went and got his keys back. And the dog specialized in going and getting tools.
I've had some co-workers like that. Had some co-workers who couldn't do anything more, but
well, before we go and before I end the recording, I want to let everybody know, remind them that we're going to have a special cataloging SIG session at the koha-US conference, which is free to attend remotely. I encourage everybody to register and sign up at koha-US.org, and it's going to be on Thursday, September 23rd, 1 p.m. Pacific. Thank you, Jason. Hope we can see you all there. And I'll go ahead and end the recording. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
yes, thank you all.